Hello everyone. We have been working on multiplying decimals through our weekly spirals and through a lesson we had yesterday. Today we are going to be putting multiplying decimals into story problems that are both single step and multi-step. So let's start with number 1. It says Carrie works at a library as an assistant. She earns $9.75 per hour. It asks how much will she get paid if she puts in 32 hours of work in a week. And then it goes on to say she wants to buy a bike for $350. How much will she have left over, or how much will she need? Okay, so this is a multi-step problem. The first question wants you to find out how much she's going to make in a week. If she makes $9.75 per hour, and works 32 hours a week, we are first going to take that $9.75 and multiply it by the 32 hours that she works that week. Okay, so why don't you stop the video and do that problem and come back. Okay, let's see how you did. I haven't put the decimal in yet because I want to make sure we're understanding how this works. First of all, when you took $9.75 times 32, notice you did not have to line up the decimals. If we look at this first $9.75, we see that there are two numbers past the decimal in that problem. Then when we look at a whole number, like 32, we know that a whole number has a decimal at the end. So there are 0 numbers past the decimal in the whole number. All together, we are 2 numbers past the decimal. So we have to go from the end of our product 2 swoopies over and put the decimal in right there. So what we find is Carrie earns $312 in 32 hours of work. All right, so that's not done. So it says, how much will she get paid if she puts in 32 hours of work? That answers that question. So this is for 32 hours. The next question asks about if she has enough money to buy a bike. So she wants to buy a bike for $350. How much will she have left over? Or how much does she need? When we know that 312 is less than 350. So we're going to take 350 and subtract the 312. We don't have to put that 0.00 for the money. So we borrow from the 5. 10 minus 2 is 8. 4 minus 1 is 3. So there's $38 sitting here, and what we have to realize is that $38 is how much more money she needs, because the 312 was not enough to buy a $350 bike. So then you would need to write a sentence. Why don't you write your sentence and come back and see how it compares to mine. Okay, so we put Carrie made $312 in one work week. She needs to earn $38 more to buy a $350 bike. That answers all of the questions in the story problem, and the answers make sense to what it's asking. So let's move on to number 2. There are 156 5/10 calories in 2 cups of buttered popcorn. At your birthday party, you made 12 cups of popcorn to share with your friends. How many calories did you and your friends consume? So when we're looking at this problem, we need to make sure we understand that it's not 156 5/10 in 1 cup. So you're not just doing 156 5/10 times 12. What you need to do is figure out how many 2 cups we'll go into 12 to see how many servings of that 2 cups you're going to have. So we're going to start by taking 12, which is how many cups you have, and dividing it by 2, which is how many cups you have in those calories. So 12 divided by 2 gives you 6. So now we know in this problem that we are having 6 servings of popcorn, because the 156 calories is 2 cups, so therefore it's 2 cups in a serving. Now we can do that multiplication that we were talking about. You're going to take the 156 and 5/10, and you will multiply it by 6, because that's how many servings you have. Try that problem out and come back and see how you did. Okay, when you look at the multiplication, again, you didn't have to line up the decimals. I see that there is 1 number after the decimal in the first problem. There is 0 numbers after the decimal in number 6, in the number 6. So altogether there is 1 number past the decimal. So I swoopy over 1 number and I get 939.0 and 0/10. So why don't you write your sentence and come back and see how it compares. Okay, so my sentence says, my friends and I consumed 939 calories eating buttered popcorn. Yours should say something about it being a number of calories and that it was you and your friends. Okay, let's move on to number 3. You're making tacos for your sister's birthday party. You need to buy 4 5/10 pounds of ground beef. It costs $2.75 per pound. How much money will you spend? All right, I'd like you to try this problem first on your own. Put your answer in, and then we'll come back and check. Okay, in this problem, you had to multiply $2.75 times 4 5/10 of a pound of ground beef. Notice my decimals are not lined up. 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to carry the 2. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37. I'm going to carry the 3. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. Got my 0. Don't need these anymore. 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 2 is 30, carry the 3. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. I add these together. I get 5, 7, 3, 2, and 1. Now when I look at this problem, I see that I have 2 numbers past the decimal in 275, and I have 1 number past the decimal in 4 5/10. So altogether that's 3 numbers past the decimal. So when I swoopy over 3 times, I get 12 and 375 thousandths. Now that's a problem. It's a problem because my answer is money. And we cannot, you don't walk up to a grocery store person and they look at you and say, okay, you owe $12 and 375 thousandths. It doesn't work that way. We know that money always has to go to the hundredths. So if I look at this problem, anytime you get something that goes past the hundredths, you have to round to the hundredths. So this 7 is in the hundredths place. I know I've said that a lot. And we look at the number next to it, and that 5, rounding wise, tells you to round that 7 up to an 8. So what you're really spending is $12.38. You have to round to the nearest penny. So my sentence would say then, it will cost $12.38 to buy 4 1/2 pounds of ground beef for the tacos at your sister's birthday party. So please make sure you have a good solid sentence for that, and we will then move on to number 4. Pause if you have to. Okay, last problem. Tyler wants to put a picture in a frame that is 8 and 25 inches by 10 inches. What is the area and perimeter of the frame? Okay, first of all, I think it's always important to draw what you're talking about. So if we have a picture frame and we know that it's 8 and 25 hundredths of an inch, so I'll put that on this side. And it's 10 inches the other way. We've been doing a lot of area and perimeter in our weekly spiral, so hopefully this one isn't so bad. Let's start with area. We know that area equals length times width. So when I look at this one, if I fill in that formula, I get A equals 10 times 8 and 25 hundredths. So we're going to do that multiplication. I'm going to take 8 and 25 hundredths and multiply by 10. Some of you may be able to do that just by moving the decimal because you know what multiplying by 10 does. 0 times 5 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0, 0 times 8 is 0. I go to multiplying by the 1. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 8 is 8. When I add these together, I get 8,250. I know that I have two numbers past the decimal, so I move 2 spaces in, and I see that my answer is 82 and 50 hundredths, which I only have to write as 82 and 5 tenths because that 0 has no value, and it's not money. When we're talking about labels for area, remember you multiplied inches times inches, so this should be inches squared. So if I go down to the bottom and by the area, I write that it's 82 and 5 tenths inches squared. So what is different about perimeter? With perimeter, we are adding all of the sides. So for perimeter, you add all the sides. The biggest mistake people make with perimeter is they add the 2 sides and forget to add the last one, the last 2, or the other 2. So I know that I have 10 and 8 and 25 hundredths. You can do this any way you want. You could do 10 and 10, 8 and 25 hundredths, and 8 and 25 hundredths, and then add those 2 together. You could take 10 times 2, 8 and 25 hundredths times 2, and then add those 2 together. Or you could line all 4 of them up in one and add those. You do what you think is right. Pause the video, figure it out, and then come back and see. I like to line all of the numbers up and add together. Notice my decimals are completely lined up, and I added zeros to the ends of the 10 to just show my place values. I know 5 and 5 and 0 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 and 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. I know the decimal drops straight down when I'm adding and subtracting. 8 and 8 is 16. Carry the 1. And 1 and 1 and 1 is 3. So when I look at this answer, I have 36 and 50 hundredths, which is 36 and 5 tenths because you don't need that. And then because we're adding all the labels, not multiplying, we just write inches. There is no squared or cubed or anything on there. There's 36 and 5 tenths of an inch or inches. Okay, so those are the notes for today. You're going to practice this on your own now. Good luck, and make sure you take your time and read the questions carefully.